Thank you for tuning in to Natty News Daily Weekly, where we cover the latest ongoings in natural bodybuilding. If you see a cool story you think we should cover, please send it our way, and maybe we'll include it in the next episode. And if you like what we're doing and would like to support us, please consider checking out one of our sponsors. Our sponsor, Core Nutritionals, for all your supplement needs. Code Natty News Daily, as well as GymPin. If you want to add weight to the machines in your gym, you're running out of room, check out GymPin. Also code Natty News Daily. Enjoy the episode.
All right, guys, it is James back with another episode of Natty News Daily Weekly, my segment where I give my unsolicited advice and commentary on the state of natural bodybuilding, as well as update you guys on the news of the week. Before I get into that, you guys have heard it in the intro that Dan did, but I'm going to say it again. I just wanted to thank our sponsors, Core Nutritionals and GymPin, especially on this week as this goes live. We are running into Black Friday. And if you haven't checked them out already, Core Nutritionals runs some crazy Black Friday deals. They're giving away awesome merch, product, apparel, all sorts of things for categories like purchases of $100, $200, $300, whatever, as well as the entire website being 20% off. As well as they're relaunching their original Red, White, and Boom pre-workout with some pretty epic graphics, which I truly love. So check those out, even just for the laughs of where they're going with the graphics and the design of these new subs, because they look sick. Now, we're going to get into the meat of it. This might be a long one. Strap in. There was a lot that went on this weekend, right? So if you haven't been under a rock, you know WMBF Worlds happened. There was some fantastic's not even a good enough word. There was some remarkable athletes. There was some remarkable comparisons. It was just a fantastic show, and we hope to be there next year for sure. Anyway, we're going to get right into it. Before we get into some like athlete profiles from the competition and some highlights, first, I want to thank everyone that has been following Natty News Daily. We jumped from like 18,000 followers to 19.2 in about a week and a half. We are on the road to 20K. We really want to hit there just because it seems like a cool number. And then from there, who knows, right? We're just taking over the game. Anyway, thank you. If you haven't followed us already, I don't know how you found this podcast, but please do follow us on Instagram. That is our main source of information, second to the YouTube. Getting right into it. Before we talk worlds, why am I showing you a male butt? This is from the OCB. This is something I actually strongly agree with. You can see, if you read the caption there, guidelines update. Since OCB brought about classic physique, which is something WMBF doesn't have, a lot of other federations do have though. The initial trunks were a square cut that was below the glutes, upper thigh. Every year, those trunks have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, as have been the trend with the IFBB and NPC, where now we're pretty much wearing bodybuilding trunks again, except they're black, right? So if we truly want to differentiate bodybuilding and classic physique, one of the criteria has probably got to be the trunks, just because it was one of the original differentiating factors, right? If we're just wearing the same suits and maybe there's a slightly different look to them, I don't know if that kind of sets the standard apart enough. So OCB is updating the requirement. I'm going to read specifically from it here. We do not need to see striated glutes in classic physique, as we might for men's bodybuilding, so there's no reason to display them in this manner. Please ensure that your shorts have proper coverage. It could impact your placement. And they say that they don't want to see the inner glute, pretty much your butt crack, right? Have the glutes covered if you're in classic physique and the OCB going forward into 2024. Just want to cover that. That is an update across the board for them. Second story here. Phil looks a little different in this photo. Phil's kind of giving us a little bit of some like behind the scenes, right? Because I'm about to cover all the highlights of WMBF Worlds, all the like the glory of it, the fun part of it, seeing the shredded physiques. What you don't see is the stuff behind the scenes that a lot of athletes struggle with, Phil himself included. Now, if you don't know Phil, try and find some content on him. We've covered him a couple times, talked to the guy. He is a champ when it comes to prep in the way that he can prep through anything. And I truly mean that. 2020, he prepped for an obscene amount of time just because shows kept getting canceled. He never pulled the plug on it. He made it through. This prep, he has been traveling every month, seemingly, to different countries for his job, and has still managed to get to, I think he did like a bod pod testing at 3.7% body fat. Obviously, margin of error right there, but right, you can see great conditioning. He's prepped through a lot. He's made it through a lot of shows, won his pro card all the way back in September with us in Ontario. And here he is at Worlds. Almost didn't make it to Worlds, though, because of a skin infection while he was in a different country working a week before Worlds. Still made it to Worlds, right? So I encourage you to read through this caption. It's pretty long. It talks about some of the things he went through. But man, I mean, you just want to talk about like grit. He's got it. So props to you, Phil. Props to you for sure. Like I said, I'm not going to read through all this, but good work, you guys. Now, again, another story. I'm going to just keep dragging it out. I'm going to keep you guys waiting to see the photos from Worlds. If you don't know who Kyot Moody is, he is an absolute legend within the sport of natural bodybuilding. Hasn't been competing as regularly within the natural realms. One of like the OGs, the classic guys, if you will, not classic in the sense of the division, but classic as the sense of like he set the standard for a long period of time. And guess what? He still is winning his IFBB pro card in the 50 plus category, but looking like he could take down a lot of the world's competitors, at least on size, if not conditioning. I mean, showing the longevity of the sport for sure. So just wanted to shout out Kyot Moody here before we move on. Here we go. This is where it gets fun. Natalie. This is from her own page, not Natalie's page. Natalie has swept the board. She's hit the big three. She's won the big three. Started off the season winning Yorton Cup. Then she went to Miss America, became Miss America. Now went pro in the Saturday show, INBF to WNBF Bodybuilding Women's Pro, then won it. She is the standard for women's bodybuilding right now. Check it out. Appreciate it. If you're a female, this is what you got to shoot for, right? And I love to see bodybuilding take a resurgence. This year has been very strong for women's bodybuilding, and we love to see that. So keep it up. Hopefully she's leading by example here, and we hope to see her compete well into the future and keep that standard high. Now, if you're looking at this photo, this could very well be an overall comparison for the World's Championship. However, this is the middleweights. This is ridiculous. I mean, I'm almost lost for words. Conditioning, check. Muscularity, check. Symmetry, check. Like this is natural bodybuilding. This is beautiful, right? And these guys battled it out. So this shows the standard. This is just to get out of your class for a chance at an overall. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. If you didn't watch the stream, if they are replaying it or selling it as a replay, I encourage you to watch it because this was not the only matchup that was to this level. But this is just one I wanted to highlight because these are two remarkable athletes. This is Ibsen Fitness, follow him, and Benjamin Schuster, who we have followed, who highlight we're going to be interviewing tonight. So we'll actually be already interviewed Dirk, the lightweight champ, interviewed Benjamin, the lightweight champ or middleweight champ, and we already interviewed the heavyweight champ, Brian DeCosta, who is the overall champ as well. So we'll have interviewed the top 3 men's bodybuilders within a week. Props to us for calling that one. Moving on, this is the actual overall comparison, right? So we got Brian DeCosta on the right, we've got Benjamin in the middle, we've got Dirk on the left. It's crazy to see this, right? And this is normally you see somebody being outclassed, whether it's the lightweight being outshone by like the middle or the heavy, or there's just this huge size discrepancy. But I mean, everyone's hanging in there. It is a very tight comparison between these three. Now, this is not the best photo, but I think it does show, how close this probably was. Conditioning across the board, check. Can't take away anything. And that's normally like a notch against the heavy guys, right? Not as conditioned, but they have the size. Normally the lightweight guy out conditions the heavier guys. Not the case. Normally the heavyweight heavily out muscles the lightweight. Check out Natty News for more of them. We have posted all of the winners, or as many as that we could find. So just scroll through and just be amazed and be inspired. Now, I've been covering all the positives from WMBF Worlds. I want to continue to do so before I move on to maybe some controversy that happened, right? So, direct quote, won't say from who, because we weren't there. They say that the 2-day format, huge improvement. I agree with that, right? You want to make sure that athletes aren't there until the middle of the night. You want to make sure that everyone is relaxed as possible because it is a stressful environment. We know that stress can change physiques. So spread things out. You have amateurs go on one day, the pros go on another day. Huge success, they said. So it was very streamlined. You were on stage when you're supposed to be on stage or relatively closely. There was less confusion than other shows. Well done, well expedited. Fantastic lighting. I think we can see that from the photos. And that's something that we've always harped on is the lighting has got to be good and a quality stream. That's something as well, right? We don't want an iPhone stream. We want, if you're going to pay money for it, it's got to be high quality, right? Which check, WMBF Worlds did that this year. Now, only thing I would say is let's throw some commentary there. Again, cough, cough. We'll see if that happens. Not many shows are doing it right now. I would like to see that as the next step, obviously, to make this a more professional production. So that's the highlights. That's the accolades. Great show. I hope to be there one day in some regards. If you haven't checked out Edna's post, this is one of the, I don't know if you want to call it controversies. She made a post, a statement saying that she felt slighted based on reactions of individuals, demeanors of individuals, perception. I'm not really sure. Now, there hints to be that there might be more to this, but we can only go on what was posted and what we know, which is not much. I'm not even going to read some of the comments. You guys can dive into that if you want to. Leave your own comment, leave a commentary, assess for yourself. I won't give a subjective. I'm just trying to be objective with this, right? So you can read through this. Maybe feedback wasn't in line with what she thought it could be. But again, this is the big thing with bodybuilding. It's a subjective sport. For me to think that the entire panel of judges was out to get somebody, I struggle. That would be a huge conspiracy. Now, whether or not it happened or whether or not things have happened behind the scenes that we don't know, that maybe put certain athletes in a favorable light or an unfavorable light, we'll never know. However, that's going to happen at any federation due to the nature of the sport. It's a subjective sport, but the scoring is based on averages across the entire panel of judges, right? So I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to the federation. Nothing against Edna, great athlete. She is, she's a world champ, multiple-time world champ across multiple federations. So I don't know. And like she said, she hinted at maybe posting other things. We'll see. Maybe even screenshots. We'll see what comes of this, if anything. I don't want to dive into it too much. Keep my hands clean of it. Just wanted to speak of it because it was something that came up. Now, a second thing that came up, and this is the big piece I want to talk about today. A notable individual that was not at WMBF Worlds, your prior lightweight world champion, Kevin Hernandez, was competing, but with the OCB. Competing for his pro card, I think we can all assume Kevin Hernandez, prior WMBF lightweight world champ, is going to win his OCB pro card. He did. Looks phenomenal. Now, when asked why he wasn't at WMBF Worlds, we have a statement. I'm not going to read the entire statement. What it came down to was a failed polygraph. Now, this is where polygraphs either get a good rap or a bad rap. Some people come to the defense of the polygraph saying it is a deterrent for individuals that can cheat a urine analysis test. There are other individuals that believe in the sincerity of Kevin, myself included, that there are false positives, which there are. The tricky thing is, how do you have a high standard of testing, which we need in the sport, without having something like this? Because we all know you can get substances out of your system in a short period of time. So if we're only relying on a urine analysis at the show, it's tough to catch some of the substances that you can wash out, right? If we had more frequent off-season testing, maybe a possibility to get rid of the polygraph, but the financing is not there. So my statement, Kevin has been polygraphed and has been urine analysis tested numerous times with the WMBF and has always passed them, to my knowledge, up until now. He passed the polygraph with the OCB, and I'm assuming will pass the urine analysis from the OCB. I truly believe Kevin is natural, and he stands by that in his statement that he has not cheated and that it was a false positive. However, with the WNBF, if that is your standard, give preference to an athlete just because they were prior champion, right? You can't play favoritism. It comes back to the other story, right? So in one story, there's the cry of favoritism. In another story, they're very obviously not slighting a prior champion, but holding that champion to the same criteria of every athlete. So I think that shows some integrity within the federation for sure. So here's where I am. For those individuals that receive false positives, which are on the minority, this doesn't happen frequently from my knowledge. I think there should be some recourse to retest or some follow-up or follow-through. I don't know from my experience and my conversations if there is, and I don't honestly know what's going to happen with Kevin in the future. I would love to have that discussion with the federation heads and Kevin himself. My thought would be, in the instance where there is a failed polygraph, the athlete can, out of their own pocket, pay for urine analysis on the spot. They get urine analysis tested. If they come back clean, that doesn't mean that they're clear, because we know, like I said, you can wash substances out. What that to me would indicate is now they have to go through an arbitration or probation period where for the next year, they agree to compete again the next year so that they remain an active and valid athlete. And in that period of time, they undergo numerous tests, whether that's out of their own pocket or out of the federation's pocket or a combination of the two. Frequent, unplanned tests across the next year to prove their innocence, at least for this period of time. Now, it doesn't go back 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, but at least goes to show that for this next year that they are clean. I don't know. It's a gray area. It's something that hasn't been discussed, and I don't think any federation has guidelines on it. So it's interesting, and it's a piece that I wanted to put out there to provoke some thought and some conversation. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments, and we'll see what comes of this, right? Obviously a great athlete, I believe to be sincere in his thoughts, but I agree with the WNBF where they have to stand by their testing criteria. And if that is the case for one athlete, it has to be the same for the other athlete. So I'll leave you guys with that. Let us know if you like these segments. Subscribe, comment, share, like, send it to your friends. Let's get the page to 20K plus. Let's bring in the followers and let's grow the sport together. I'll see you guys in the next one.